It started with a scream-wet guttural, completely unexpected. A woman's face turned crimson as she staggered across my backyard, clutching her throat like it might rip apart. Milk sprayed from someone's nose. 2 people fanned their mouths with paper plates, and one man fell backward into the bushes. Chaos rippled over the lawn. I stood behind the sliding glass door, holding a pitcher of lemonade in one hand, observing the meltdown with a blank expression. On the picnic table, a tray of ghost pepper wings steamed innocently under the midday sun. A small handwritten sign read, "For the brave only." If you're wondering how my backyard transformed into a food challenge gone wrong, the answer is simple. Karen, not just any Karen, the queen of passive aggression. The HOA's self-appointed enforcer. The woman who once taped a laminated note to my trash bin because it wasn't rolled in within the HOA's 3-hour compliance window. She lived across the street in a house so sterile it looked like a showroom. Her yard clipped to geometric perfection. I'd moved into the neighborhood a year earlier, hoping for peace. It was an unremarkable place, quiet streets, dog walkers, polite waves without forced chit-chat. My kind of environment. I wasn't particularly social, but every few weeks I hosted a small cookout, some ribs, beers, a couple of friends. Nothing wild. Karen noticed. At first, it was almost amusing. She'd pace the sidewalk with her tiny Yorkie, peeking through my fence. Then came the notes. One about excessive noise at 6:30 p.m. Another accusing my 2 guests of overcrowding the curb. But the final straw was a folded flyer slipped under my doormat titled, "Ways to be a considerate neighbor, a helpful guide." I ignored her, thinking she'd eventually get bored. I underestimated how petty she could be. The tipping point came during a casual Sunday game day barbecue. I only invited 5 friends. We grilled burgers, watched the game, and were done by 9. But Monday morning, there was a note in delicate blue ink. Sad that this neighborhood has become so exclusive. We used to be a community. I crumpled it and went about my day. I wasn't going to let a suburban tyrant dictate my life. The following Saturday, I planned another get-together, just me and 2 co-workers. I marinated wings, stocked a cooler with drinks, and set out chairs. Around noon, I fired up the grill. Expecting a simple afternoon, that's when strangers started appearing. A couple I'd never seen before walked into my yard with plastic plates. "Hey, is this the free buffet?" the woman asked, grinning like we were old friends. I blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" "You know, Karen said the whole neighborhood was welcome." Before I could object, they were helping themselves. Within 10 minutes, nearly 20 strangers filled my patio, opening my cooler, adjusting the music, rummaging through my condiments. Someone changed my playlist. A man in flip-flops asked if I had vegan options. I glanced across the street. Karen was sprawled on her porch swing, sipping Chardonnay and beaming like she'd won some secret war. I stormed over, dodging kids running through my sprinklers. "Karen," I snapped, "what is going on?" She tilted her head, voice dripping sugar. "I just thought it would be nice to make this a real community event." "You told everyone it was a free buffet?" "You're so private, Jake," she purred. "I figured this was your way of opening up." I tried to stay civil. "You had no right," she shrugged. "They're here now. Maybe next time, clarify the invitation." I returned to my yard seething. By then, someone had dumped ketchup over my dry rubbed wings, and a kid was guzzling lemonade straight from the jug. My co-worker Jeremy arrived, took one look at the mob, and muttered, "This is a lot." I spent 30 exhausting minutes trying to explain the mistake. Most people waved me off. Karen said it's fine. They insisted. When I finally turned back to the grill, every wing was gone. My last beer was in the hands of a stranger in cargo shorts, who winked at me like we were old buddies. I went inside, locked the sliding door, and pulled the curtains. My kitchen felt like a bunker. The more I replayed it, the clearer it became. This wasn't a misunderstanding, it was a power play. Karen had hijacked my afternoon to prove she owned the neighborhood's goodwill. I checked Facebook. There it was, neighborhood cookout at Jake's, wings, drinks, sunshine, everyone welcome. Over 50 likes. Comments like, hope there's food left, and see you there. My hands were shaking. That's when I remembered the bottle hidden in my pantry, a matte black vial of ghost pepper hot sauce. A warning label in all caps read, use sparingly. Karen wanted a spectacle? She was about to get one. I stepped outside with a calm fake smile. I'm throwing on one last batch. Anyone up for a spicy challenge? A few guys cheered. Do your worst. In the kitchen, I mixed a lethal sauce thick enough to blister paint. I brushed it generously over fresh wings, then carried the tray outside. I set it down with a simple sign. Ghost pepper challenge for the brave only. Within minutes, the crowd descended on the wings. The first bite triggered a chain reaction of regret screams, coughing, frantic demands for water. A balding man staggered toward the birdbath, dunking his face. A woman collapsed beside the cooler, fanning her mouth. I stood by, phone steady, recording every second. Someone gasped, "What did you put in these?" I shrugged and pointed to the sign. Then I heard it, Karen's shrill laugh drifting from across the yard. She was holding court with her book club friends, all pretending they hadn't just orchestrated my humiliation. 15 minutes later, she strutted over, scanned the remaining wings, and scoffed. "Please, I've hosted chili cook-offs. These can't be that bad." She bit into one. The change was instant. Her eyes widened, face contorting as the inferno hit. She dropped the wing, smashed her wine glass on the patio, and started gagging. I offered her a napkin. "Just a little kick." She wheezed, tears streaming, and stumbled back across the street. Later that evening, Jaime helped me cut together the footage. Karen's meltdown in high definition. I uploaded it anonymously. Neighborhood Karen gets burned literally. It exploded. Overnight, thousands of views, shares, and comments celebrating the ultimate petty revenge. Karen tried to counterattack. She posted a rambling Facebook rant claiming I'd poisoned her guests and calling me a public safety threat. But she didn't realize I'd documented everything, her invitation, her notes, her meddling. I forwarded it all to the OA, highlighting her unauthorized event. The next board meeting, she was formally reprimanded and fined for misrepresentation and trespass. Her power began to crumble. She stopped walking her dog near my driveway. Her windows stayed shuttered. The HOA newsletter included a reminder. No member may claim to host events at other households without consent. But Karen wasn't done. A week later, I found a note in my mailbox. "You'll never be rid of me." It escalated fast, muddy footprints. On my porch, tipped trash cans, midnight sprinkler sabotage. At first, I suspected kids. But when I discovered a for sale sign stabbed into my lawn painted with toxic, I knew exactly who was behind it. I installed extra cameras, documented every petty act, and quietly built my case. When she started spreading rumors claiming I was reckless and dangerous, I responded with a second video. The truth about my HOA Karen. It was calm, factual, devastating. Screenshots, audio clips, surveillance footage. The video exploded. Local news picked it up. Podcasts dissected it. Memes multiplied. Karen retreated into her house like a wounded queen. Weeks later, I came home to find my gate forced open. She'd broken in, left a note on my patio chair. "You win this round. But watch your back." The police took it seriously. Officers paid her a visit. A week later, a for sale sign appeared in her yard. Karen was moving. I didn't throw a party. I just mowed my lawn, waved to neighbors, and watched her empire collapse. A month after she left, a package arrived, a ceramic chili pepper with a note. "Let's see how you handle heat when it's real." It didn't matter. My home was mine again. That summer, I hosted a quiet barbecue, just close friends, no strangers. No sabotage. As the sun set, Jimmy clinked his beer against mine. Worth it? I smiled. Absolutely. Because some people think they can trample your boundaries. But sometimes, all it takes is a tray of ghost pepper wings to remind them exactly where the line is.